The night Hollywood went Filipino didn't begin with fireworks or celebrity red carpets. It began with a single voice humming a familiar Christmas melody under palm trees that had never known winter snow. Maligayang Pasko, softly sung, floated through Los Angeles like a secret finally brave enough to be heard. Cameras rolled, streetlights glowed, and something unexpected happened. Hollywood paused. In a city addicted to speed and spectacle, a Filipino Christmas celebration slowed everything down. This documentary tells the story of how one phrase, one song, and one community transformed Los Angeles into a living memory of home, belonging, and shared humanity. Los Angeles has always been a city of borrowed dreams, stitched together by migrants chasing tomorrow. From Hollywood Boulevard to historic Filipino town, cultures overlap like scenes in an unfinished film. On this December night, the skyline shimmered differently. Neon lights reflected off parole lanterns, and the usual soundtrack of traffic was replaced by laughter, guitars, and choral harmonies. This wasn't a takeover by force, but by warmth. The Filipino community didn't arrive to conquer Hollywood. They arrived to invite it in, carrying Christmas not as a date on the calendar, but as a feeling rooted in togetherness. Filipinos have long been part of Los Angeles's invisible backbone: nurses, caregivers, artists, service workers, storytellers. Many came with suitcases full of hope and hearts heavy with homesickness. Christmas, or Pasko, has always been the hardest season away from home. In the Philippines, it begins as early as September, stretching across months of anticipation, faith, and family. In LA, it's often compressed into a few days off work. This celebration was different. It was a reclamation of time, memory, and identity, unfolding publicly in a city that rarely stops to listen. The first evening of the celebration began modestly. A small stage, string lights, and a choir warming up their voices. But as soon as the opening notes of Maligayang Pasko rang out, passers-by slowed their steps. Some stopped filming. Others stopped breathing. The melody carried nostalgia even for those who didn't understand the words. It felt like an old photograph coming to life. Filipino families stood shoulder to shoulder with tourists, actors, and street performers, all drawn into a shared moment that felt unscripted and deeply human. Maligayang Pasko is more than a greeting. It is a wish layered with history, resilience, and love. It carries the sound of jeepney radios, church bells at dawn, and laughter echoing from crowded homes. When sung in Los Angeles, it bridged oceans. Choir members later said they felt their voices tremble, not from nerves, but from memory. Some hadn't sung the song publicly since leaving the Philippines decades ago. In Hollywood, under foreign stars, they finally sang it again, loud, proud, and free. As the choir reached the chorus, something remarkable happened. A group of street musicians, mostly non-Filipino, instinctively joined in. A violinist followed the melody. A percussionist found the rhythm. There was no rehearsal, no shared language, just intuition. This spontaneous collaboration became one of the most replayed moments online. It symbolized the heart of the celebration, culture as an open invitation, not a closed circle. Hollywood didn't just watch Filipino Christmas, it participated in it. Reactions from the crowd were raw and unfiltered. A Hollywood tour guide wiped away tears mid-sentence. A couple from Europe asked what the words meant, then asked why it felt like home. Even seasoned performers admitted they had never felt a Christmas moment like this in Los Angeles. The city known for artificial snow and staged joy was experiencing something real. No scripts. No auditions. Just people standing still together, sharing silence between songs as if afraid to break the spell. One elderly Filipina, introduced simply as Lola Maria, became an unexpected symbol of the night. Wrapped in a shawl, she stood near the stage holding a small parole lantern. She whispered the lyrics as the choir sang, eyes closed, lips trembling. When asked what she felt, she said, "I am back home, even if just for tonight." Her words spread online like wildfire. In that moment, millions of overseas Filipinos saw themselves, aging parents, missed holidays, sacrifices quietly endured. Younger Filipinos felt it too, especially those born in America. Many had grown up hearing about Pasko but never fully understanding its weight. That night they felt it. Teenagers recorded TikToks not for trends, but to document history. For the first time, being Filipino felt visibly powerful in Hollywood. Not as a stereotype, not as background labor, but as a culture capable of transforming a city's emotional landscape with a single celebration. Food stalls lined the streets, adding another layer of familiarity. The smell of bibingka and Puto Bumbong mixed with cold night air. People shared plates with strangers, explaining recipes like family secrets. Food became language. A man tasting Filipino kakanin for the first time said it reminded him of his grandmother's cooking, even though she was from another continent. That's the magic of Filipino hospitality. It doesn't ask where you're from, only if you're hungry. Parole lanterns swayed above the crowd, glowing softly against the Hollywood night. Each lantern told a story of faith and perseverance, traditionally symbolizing the Star of Bethlehem. In Los Angeles, they symbolized guidance for migrants finding their way. Photographers captured the contrast: palm trees and paroles, street signs and scripture-inspired art. The images went viral, not because they were exotic, but because they felt honest. Hollywood had been transformed, not visually, but spiritually. As the celebration grew, celebrities quietly blended into the crowd. Some were Filipino Americans who had never seen their culture celebrated this openly in Hollywood. Others were simply curious. No one announced their presence. No red carpets rolled out. In a city obsessed with recognition, anonymity became the greatest respect. Everyone was equal here, just listeners, singers, and witnesses to something rare. One of the most talked about moments came when a small chamber orchestra, initially booked to perform classical Christmas pieces, paused mid-performance. The conductor turned, listened to the Filipino choir singing nearby, and lowered his baton. Instead of continuing, the orchestra slowly transitioned, following the melody of Maligayang Pasko. It was unplanned. The silence before the shift felt sacred. That pause became symbolic, a moment when Western tradition made space for another story. Language barriers dissolved that night. Many in the audience didn't understand Tagalog, yet they felt every word. This proved something powerful: emotion travels faster than translation. Maligayang Pasko didn't need subtitles. It spoke through harmony, memory, and shared longing. It reminded everyone that Christmas, at its core, is about presence, not perfection. Faith also played a quiet but strong role. References to Simbang Gabi, the traditional dawn masses in the Philippines, were woven into speeches and songs. For many Filipinos, Christmas is inseparable from faith. In Los Angeles, this faith wasn't preached. It was practiced through kindness, patience, and joy. Even those who didn't share the belief felt welcomed, not excluded. Behind the scenes were stories of sacrifice. Nurses came straight from night shifts. Caregivers brought their employers along. Artists performed for free. Many had worked multiple jobs all year, saving energy for this one night. The celebration became a thank you letter to themselves, a recognition of endurance often overlooked. Hollywood finally saw the people who keep its hospitals running and homes cared for. The memory of the pandemic lingered quietly in the air. Many remembered celebrating Christmas alone on video calls, singing through lagging connections. This gathering felt like healing. Some cried not just for joy, but for loss, relatives gone, years stolen. The community didn't shy away from that grief. It held space for it, allowing tears to coexist with laughter. Social media exploded, but unlike usual trends, the comments were reflective. People shared stories of migration, loneliness, and hope. "I'm not Filipino, but this made me miss home," one comment read. Another said, "This is what Christmas should feel like." The algorithm couldn't manufacture this response. It was organic, emotional, and deeply human. Organizing the event hadn't been easy. Permits, noise concerns, and logistical hurdles threatened cancellation multiple times. Yet volunteers persisted, driven by something bigger than entertainment. They weren't producing a show, they were protecting a memory. When the city finally approved it, no one imagined the scale of impact it would have. The final night of the celebration felt like a climax in a documentary film. Voices were stronger, crowds larger, emotions closer to the surface. When everyone sang Maligayang Pasko together, Filipino and non-Filipino alike, the sound echoed through Hollywood streets like a collective heartbeat. For a moment, the city felt smaller, kinder, and deeply connected. Tears flowed freely during the closing song. Strangers hugged. Families held hands. No one rushed to leave. The applause wasn't loud, it was long, sustained, respectful, as if the audience understood they had witnessed something unrepeatable. Maligayang Pasko means Merry Christmas, but it also means wishing someone joy, peace, and light. In Los Angeles, it became a declaration that Filipino culture belongs here, that stories of migration matter, and that Christmas can still surprise us. Hollywood didn't lose itself that night. It found something it had been missing: authenticity, community, stillness. For once, the cameras didn't chase drama, they documented grace. For viewers watching this documentary, the story feels personal because it is. Everyone knows what it's like to miss home, to long for connection, to find comfort in a song. You don't need to be Filipino to feel this story. You just need to be human. The sound design of the night, soft choirs, distant traffic, spontaneous applause, created a rhythm no studio could recreate. It reminded us that the best stories aren't scripted. They're lived. Children danced freely, learning lyrics on the spot. They are the future carriers of this tradition, bridging generations and continents. That night planted seeds that will grow for years. News outlets called it a cultural moment. Filipinos called it home. Around the world, overseas communities began planning similar celebrations, inspired by what Los Angeles had shown was possible. As lanterns were released and lights dimmed, the crowd slowly dispersed. Hollywood returned to itself, but not unchanged. Something lingered. The morning after, cleanup crews found handwritten notes taped to lamp posts. "Thank you. I felt seen. I wasn't alone tonight." Proof that the impact went deeper than entertainment. Hollywood went Filipino that Christmas, not because of spectacle, but because of sincerity. And in doing so, it reminded the world that sometimes all it takes to change a city is a song, a greeting, and the courage to share who you are. Maligayang Pasko.